You've reached Monster 911, and I'm Lance Hightower. I've been taking cryptid emergency calls for over 5 years. If you have a cryptid emergency, please call our toll-free number, 866-306-8085. I can help you. What's your emergency?
Well, I'll tell you what I do, which I don't mind. I don't care if anyone knows what I do. But I'm a journeyman welder.
Oh, okay, great.
I travel. I'll travel here and there, especially around Texas. So I'm just here, there, welding. Doing my thing, working, and then on my time off, I'll do some exploring. I'll just I'll go to a park. I'll go visit friends that are close by.
Yep.
And then we'll go exploring. We'll go to trails. We'll do a little, I guess, walking around. Exploring a little bit. Play disc golf because I play a little bit of disc golf, and I'm not too good at it, but I like playing it because it's in the woods and it's a little fun.
Yeah.
I'll do some of that sometimes. Again, I'll just go to parks whenever on my time off. I'll go hang out with friends. We'll go to a park, just chill, hang out. What was this? I could tell you where we went, right? Like you said.
You can say anything. Absolutely. Okay.
Well, I was working somewhere around Texas City.
Okay.
And I decided, I was like, oh, well, let me go see my friends. And they were staying somewhere in Houston. So I was like, all right. So I went to their house and we were hanging out and stuff. And we were watching, we like to watch this YouTube channel called Top 5. And it's a bunch of scary videos that people post online.
Okay.
Like ghost videos or, just scary stuff that people post online, and then Top 5 puts them up and to show you all of the videos.
Yeah. Got it.
But yeah, it's on YouTube. It's real popular. And we'd watch it all the time. And then my friend's girlfriend's like, hey, let's go do something like that. Like, let's go ghost hunt or something. I was like, all right, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, let's do that. I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wasn't really too scared of ghosts or anything and I was like, all right, let's do that. And then I went online to see what were the scariest cemeteries in Texas, and so we looked it up, and we came across one that was pretty close to us, and that wasn't too far. So I was like, all right, and I was like, let's go to this one, and it was the what's it called? Cemetery.
Okay.
Cemetery.
That's in and around the Houston area.
Yes, it's in
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know where it's at.
Yeah, and it's real popular. A lot of people go there, and so it was on. We saw that, and we're like, let's go there. And so we're like, all right, let's do it. And so we made plans. Like, okay, you know what? Tomorrow we'll go to the cemetery and we'll check it out. But I told him, if we're gonna go, I don't want to go at night because, like I'm a little scared. I really don't want to see a ghost. To be honest, I do not want to see anything at all.
Right.
I was kind of, I don't. I believe in ghosts, but I really don't want to see one. And they're like, let's go during the day because the day is less scary. I can handle that.
Right.
And, yeah. So,
totally. I understand.
So we made plans to go to the cemetery, but she's like, hey, you know what? While I'm there, let me go visit her stepdad, who was in I guess prison there. There's a jail there somewhere.
Okay.
So she wanted to go to her stepdad that's in jail, and her brother came along with us too, so he can go see him too. So I was like, all right, that's cool. Yeah, we'll do that because he's like right there. So might as well. Let's do that. That's fine. And so that was me, my friend, her and her brother, and so we went to, and they went to go see their stepdad, and me and my other friend were just hanging out, waiting for them outside the prison, and just this was around like probably 11 o'clock when they went in.
Okay.
And then it started to get like 1 o'clock. Well, we waited outside, and it was like 1 o'clock. And then I told my friend, like, hey, how long are they gonna take? You know,
Right.
I was like, they're gonna take a while, and I was like, damn, dude, it's been like 2-3 hours already. And then I told them to text them, and then they still haven't seen them yet. So I was like, dude. So I kind of got impatient. I was like, dude, you know what? Let's go without them to the cemetery, because it was like 15 minutes away from the prison. So I was like, dude, let's go to the cemetery, and then we'll come back. You know, let's go check it out for a little bit, and then we'll come back. We'll kill some time over there.
Sure.
So we're like, all right, let's do that. So we left, and we're headed towards the cemetery, and it goes down. Like, you got to go down a dirt road, and you're passing a bunch of some houses, a little bit of houses, all scattered everywhere, okay. And then you got a bunch of farmland around there. So you got to pass all this farmland. It's a dirt road. You're passing all that, and then it comes to like a little how you say it? Like a little patch of woods. So the cemetery sits in a little patch of woods.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And you know, you go in there, and it was I didn't feel nothing. It was pretty calm and chill, and you know, it was nice. Mm-hmm. And the cemetery's from like the 1800s.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, there's a story of the cemetery, but I really don't know, to be honest. On top of my head, I can't think of it. But there's a story to it, and the tombs are like from 1800, so they're pretty beat up, and they're like really, you can barely see the writing and stuff. But it's still interesting. It's pretty interesting. You know, I kind of like the whole the history and all that stuff. That was pretty cool. And so because they got the old cemetery, and behind it is a newer cemetery where they put the newer bodies and stuff, I guess. But yeah, so we were just there. I'm sorry, I'm not good at telling stories or anything, but
no, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, no, yeah, you're fine. You're doing great.
Stuff. I kind of just get to the point.
So you're there with your friend, just you and another. It's relatively midday.
Yeah.
And you're just in this patch of woods, an old cemetery somewhere in the 1800s, and then there's not a lot of people around or anything.
No, nobody's around.
Okay. Yeah.
It was just us.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was just us two, and the old cemetery is fenced off from the woods and the newer cemetery, and in the front, when you walk into that fence or into the old cemetery, you first walk up into a little plaque that has the history of the cemetery and what happened and all that. And I didn't really pay attention to that. I just walked past it. And my friend, he stood there reading it. And I was just like, all right, whatever. And I just kept him walking, just looking at the tombstones and everything, just checking them out, seeing what I can read and stuff.
Right.
And I was just not thinking of anything, just looking. And he was just standing there in the front, reading the plaque. And I was just walking around, and I go towards the back, more towards the back of the cemetery. And I ended up kind of close to the corner next to the woods, and had my back towards the woods and the fence, and I was looking at a tombstone, And that's when it wasn't really that long. It was like probably like 10, 15 minutes when we got there.
Okay.
And like I said, I was there standing, had my back towards the fence in the woods.
Okay.
And the fence and the woods are like right up against each other. So, and I had my back towards the woods and the fence, and then wasn't thinking anything, just looking at the tombstone.
Right.
And then I heard a thump, like a heavy thump. And I was like, the hell was that? Like in my head, I was like, what's that? And I heard another one. And then I heard another one, a stomp. And it was like you could feel it in the ground. It's like,
oh, really?
Wow, yeah, it was like a heavy stomp. You could feel it hit the ground. And I was like, damn, the hell is that?
Wow.
And in my head, I was like, okay, well, it's in my head. I pictured, I don't know why, but this came into my head. I pictured someone hitting a fence post in the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so much farmland around there. So in my head, I was thinking maybe a farmer is hitting a fence post in the ground with a machine or something. You know, that's what I pictured in my head. That's what's probably going on. That.
Huh.
So I didn't really, like, yeah, they were like, okay, that's probably it. And I told I looked at my cousin and I yelled at him and I go, hey, do you hear that? You know?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I hear it. And then he said something that freaked me out. And he's like, it's coming from behind you. And then it was so weird. When he said that, my body froze. And I just froze up real quick. And I was like, and all I felt was my ears, my ears. I felt my heart in my ears.
Oh, yeah. You had adrenaline going.
Never had happened to me before. And my heart was pounding bad. Like, I think I could have had a heart attack.
Yeah, you had a lot of adrenaline going.
I've never felt that before in my life. I was like, what the hell? And all that was going on, like, it just hit me so fast. I didn't even see anything. That's what freaked me out. I didn't see anything. But when he said that, like, when it's right behind you, like, it's coming from behind you, I was like, okay. Like, it just instantly, my heart was beating hard, and I could hear it in my ears. It was so weird.
Wow.
And while that was going on, I heard a little, not little, but like a growl for a second. But I snapped out of it and I ran towards him. And I ran right towards him, and he saw me running, and he ran towards the car, and he ran to the door, and I ran to the other door, on the passenger side, and we just stood there. And I asked him, did you see anything? And he's like, no, I didn't see anything. Are you sure? And we just stood there looking at the woods. Like, I was just, oh man, I was like, what the hell was that? You know?
Right.
That freaked me out. And, that freaked me out. We're just standing there.
Did he hear the thumps as well, or feel the tremors?
He felt it. And because I asked him a couple times, he's like, you felt it, right? He goes, yeah, I felt it. I felt the thumps.
How far away was he from you when
he was probably uh, 30, probably like
30 feet?
30, 40 feet from me.
Okay. And he was kind of reading that sign.
Yeah, he wasn't paying attention really. He was just, but when I asked him that question, so he felt the thump, and he knew it was coming from behind me, and that kind of just that scared. It was so weird.
So what do you think in your mind? What possibly was that? What do you think it was from?
Well, after that happened, we got out. Oh, we got back in the car, and I told him, "Let's get out of here," because that was just so weird.
Right.
I told him, "Let's get out of here," and then I had time to think about it. And so when I had time to think about it, I was like, "Dude, I think that was I think that was a Bigfoot," and it's because I've heard stories of Bigfoot.
Uh-huh.
I've listened to some stories, and I've heard one story that was like that, where it feels like it's behind you, but it's not.
Right.
So I was like, dude, I think that was a Bigfoot. I don't know what else could it be. I don't know what else it could be. And then I was like, maybe a ghost? No, okay. Not a ghost, because I've asked people, and they're like, oh, it could have been a demon or something. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe. But the thing is that I think it was a Bigfoot because after that happened, we left. We went back to the prison, and we got he got his girlfriend and the brother, and we told him about it, what happened to us, and we're like, hey, dude, this happened, something came behind me and scared the shit out of me, whatever. And they're like, oh, really? Dude, we gotta go. And I was like, I don't know. Dude, what happened? That scared the shit out of me. I don't think you want to go there.
Right.
But then, they don't know like anything about Bigfoot or anything. So I was like, all right. And it did scare me, but not enough to like, oh no, I don't want to step foot in there again.
Right.
Because it was like for a couple of seconds, and then I took off running. But when we decided to go back. They're like, all right, let's go back. Okay. I was like,
a different time? Back. You went back the same day?
The same day. Right after that happened, we went back to the prison. We picked them up, and then we went.
Oh, okay.
Right back because they wanted to. Because we all came. We all came because we all wanted to go check out the cemetery.
Gotcha.
But we went without them, and so they got all like, "Oh yeah, oh dude, you suck. What the hell? Should have waited for us." Like, nah, dude, you're taking too long. So, so we had to go back because they really wanted to go. So I'm like, all right, it's whatever. So we did go back, and when we went back, me and my friend, we just stayed next to the car because we were too freaked. I was very freaked out, and he knew he was freaked out too. So we just stood next to the door of the car, and his girlfriend and her brother, they went walking around looking. They went to go look around and stuff around the cemeteries and stuff. And I was like, damn, dude, what was that? That freaked me out, and I was just aware, like my eyes and ears were open to any little noise. And I was alert. I was alert. And we were just there, and I was just standing next to the car, and nothing was really going on. And they were just out there doing their thing, looking around, and I guess trying to see any activity or whatever. out of nowhere, I heard a screeching sound, a howl, like a screaming sound.
Wow.
Like an ugly, like someone being killed, screaming sound.
Did it sound close by or far away?
It sounded far away.
Okay.
But I could hear it. You could hear it. It was like someone being murdered. That's what it sounded like.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what the hell? And I yelled out. I was like, hey, you guys hear that? And there's another trail in the patch of woods that goes deeper.
Okay.
And I haven't gone down there, or, I didn't explore that. But it was coming from down that trail. And I told them, I yelled out, hey, you guys hear that? They're screaming? And they're like, yeah, I hear it too. So my friend's girlfriend and her brother, they went down that trail to go check it out. And I just stayed back in the car. I was like, okay, you guys go check that out. I'm not going to go over there. Because that sounds really scary, And I guess they don't know anything about Bigfoot or anything. I don't think they really care about that stuff.
Right.
So I stayed back, and they went down that trail. And I followed a little bit. But I stayed back a little bit because I was really still freaked out. And they went down the trail, but then they stopped because they saw that there was cameras down that trail. And I guess I don't know who put the cameras up there, because around there that whole there's a bunch of farmland, and I don't know.
Are we saying like game cameras, deer cameras type cameras, or were these?
They didn't. I didn't see them, but they didn't say what kind of cameras they are. She just said there's cameras down there, so they stopped. They didn't pursue any further.
Okay.
So I don't know who that belongs to, whose land that belongs to. So they came back, but while they were coming back, I can hear something following them in the woods. Like you can hear sticks breaking. And I was like, dude, that was creepy. So they were coming back. Yeah, they were coming back, and they weren't really scared or anything. They're just like, they really, didn't see anything. They weren't feeling anything. And I was still kind of tripping out. And I was like, man, I think they're around here. In my head, I was like, man, I think Bigfoot are around here. And we came back in the car because they didn't see anything, they didn't witness anything, whatever. So they weren't pretty impressed or anything going on there. And so we just got back in the car and we left. And that was pretty much it for that.
Wow.
That happened, and that kind of just freaked me out.
Sure.
And I was like, okay. But let's say, maybe a couple days after that, I went back to visit them, and my friend's girlfriend wanted to go to the cemetery. And this was 1:00 in the morning that they decided, oh, hey, let's go to that cemetery we went to. And I was like, at this time, I don't know, guys. That's pretty dangerous,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, guys. That don't sound good at all. Really. And no, but they were persistent. They're like, dude, we want to go. I was like, two of them, two of her nieces and one boyfriend, I wanted to go. And I was like, I really don't want to go, guys. That doesn't sound right. And at that 1 or 2 in the morning, as that just doesn't sound good at all. You know, go to an old cemetery at night. That's like an hour away.
Wow.
I was like, dude, I do not want to go. But then again, they like, you know what? We're going to go either way. We don't care. And I was like, damn. So I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll go with you guys. I'll go because I feel like the more of us there, the less anything will happen. You know what I mean? The bigger the crowd, the less.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
So that's what I was thinking in my head. You know, okay, you know, fine. I'll go. My friend, his girlfriend, the 2 nieces, and the boyfriend, we're all gonna go, and we're gonna go check it out. And so we drove up there around 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was just in my head. I was just panicking. I was like, man, this is bad. This is not a good idea. I know we should do this. It's like this is not gonna end well, or I'm just gonna be all tensed up the whole time. And we drove down there again late at night, and it was funny because when we got there, there was a bunch of kids there. Like, it was late at night, and there was kids there hanging out.
Wow.
Like drinking and just hanging out, running around the cemetery.
Dang.
And I was like, what the f- is going on? Which I was surprised, but I was also relieved because there's so many people here. And I was like, okay, now I don't feel scared anymore. Like, this is okay. I like this, you know? So there's there's 2 groups of, I guess, kids. No, there's a couple. So when we got there, there's a car there and 2 trucks. And when we got there, we just went in there, and it was funny because when we first got there, the kids were hiding, and they when we got into the cemetery, they popped out trying to scare us. And so it was like I don't know, they're just having fun, I was like, oh, that's fine, you know.
Right.
As long as we're not doing anything stupid. But so they came out and they're like, hey, hi, how you doing? They're real nice. It was funny because they're like, everybody's real cool. They're all cool. You know, we're all just like, hey, how's it going? You know, and they're like, oh, we came just to go check out the cemetery and try to get scared and all that. Like, oh, okay, cool. And there's like 2 groups. I guess there's a couple, a girl and a guy, and they're probably like 18, 19 years old. No, they're probably 17, 16 years old. And then there's another group of kids, high school kids. 2 guys, 2 girls, and I don't think they knew each other because I think when we got there and everybody's talking and stuff, and then they started looking around everywhere, and I was talking to the couple, the kid and the girl, and the other group, they took off because they're just running around, I don't know, playing, doing stupid things, whatever. And I was talking to the couple, and it was so weird. Because it was so funny because we're all there. I was talking to them, and I was like, "Y'all from here?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're from here." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." You know, just I was just trying to start conversation with him, and I was trying to get to know him, you know, see what's going on. Right. And he's like, "Oh, no, I don't. Are you with this group of kids here?" He goes, "No, man. Like we came here and they were here already." I was like, "Okay, that was weird." And he goes, "Yeah, they're just running around, you know, just I guess running in the woods. I don't know what the hell's going on." And I was talking to the couple, and I told them that I was there earlier. Oh, not earlier, but I was there already. I don't know Well, I already went there, and when I was there, I got growled at or some shit, and I got scared. And I was telling my story, and they're like, "Oh, dude," for us, like, yeah, but so I got comfortable with him. I think he got comfortable with me. So we're just talking, and then he told me his story. Because he said because I asked him if he was from there. He goes, yeah. And I asked him, has anything weird happened around here and stuff? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I don't live too far from here. And that he said that he has a horse. And one day he was riding his horse. I don't know where, but he was riding his horse and said that he got off his saddle because he was fixing it. He got off his horse to fix his saddle, and that when he looked towards the woods, he saw something black, like big and black, next to a tree.
Oh.
And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. And he goes, he said he couldn't see the face, but it was dark, really dark.
Okay.
And he said it freaked him out. He said he got really scared. And he jumped right on his horse and took off. And I was like, "Ooh, that's creepy." And he goes, "Yeah." And he said no, he didn't say anything about Bigfoot or anything. I don't know if he knows about Bigfoot or whatever.
Well, some people, they don't know. I mean, they don't connect any dots. They just see a figure and they don't know what they saw, but they know that it wasn't normal or it's unusual to have a person out in the middle of the woods, you know.
Exactly. Yep.
So they just kind of, it's unexpected, so they just kind of get freaked out and they leave.
Okay, yep, exactly. So that's what I was thinking too. I was like, maybe he doesn't know about Bigfoot. And to him, that was just some weird shit that happened to him, you know? Right. And then in my head, I was like, dude, maybe there's a lot of Bigfoots around here. You know? I was thinking, I was like, maybe there's
possible.
A lot of Bigfoot.
It's very, very possible.
The what?
It's very possible. I mean, yep. you don't... The most unlikely places, I mean, cemeteries tend to have a lot of sightings for an unusual reason, you know, whether it's these dogman creatures, other types of creatures, or Bigfoot. They tend to be quiet. You don't really get a lot of traffic. And cemeteries sometimes are on the outskirts of towns.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. It's outside of town. Yep.
And they tend to have huge amounts of property. And so, but, you know, on another means here, could it be that there is some type of energy or spiritual energies in that area that are an attractant to them? I don't know. But they tend to be a magnet for these sightings sometimes.
Okay. Yep, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah.
So he had that experience, and then so what else went on that night?
Well, he told me that story, and then I told him why we were there. He goes, we were ghost hunting, whatever, and I told him that whatever happened to me, you know, that something scared me. And that's when he told me his story. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. That's interesting. But then he also told me, he said that, he goes, hey, you know what? You should check out cemetery. And I was like, okay. I don't know where it's at. He goes, dude, it's probably like, it's probably like not that far away from here. He said it's not that far away from there. It's not that far. And I think I looked it up and it wasn't really that far. And I was like, okay. He goes, you should check out the cemetery. He goes, a lot of things happen there. I go, okay, that's great. Well, it's like, and then he told me a story where he said there's a couple in a car, and they're parked at the cemetery, like, you know, doing whatever, messing around and stuff with each other. And he said that something black jumped on the hood of the car, and some others, I guess there's more of them, were banging on the car, on the trunk, and then the hood, on top of the roof. and they ran out of there, and it said they left the car all beat up. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That is scary.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that would freak me out. And he goes, yep, that happened there. I was like, dude, there's got to be there's got to be a lot of Bigfoots around here. And he told me that story, and I was like, wow, that is crazy.
Well, it just goes, if if it truly is a Bigfoot creature, a being, usually you just won't have one. There's usually others around. That's kind of the rule of thumb. Where you see one, there's others. And that's with most of these creatures. You see one, there's others around. And they don't need a lot of territory. They don't need a lot of land to harbor. There's been interviews that I've done that people have been on little small islands out in the middle of these reservoirs or these lakes, tiny little islands that have a patch of trees, and these creatures have been on those islands.
You see, I was like, I was surprised that there was so much activity around there, because there's a bunch of houses and farms, or not a bunch of houses. There's quite a bit of houses and farmland around there, and the houses are scattered, and the farmland kind of surrounds the cemetery. So I was like, it didn't cross my mind that Bigfoot would be around there,
Right.
And the closest patch of woods that is pretty close to that is the Houston National Forest. It's not that far.
Oh,
so I was like, why would it be over here? And now that I've done a little research, they can be there. They're sneaky. They can get their way around.
Well, the question is, why wouldn't they be there? Because you don't need a lot. All you need is a way to conceal yourself. You need water. And, it makes sense sometimes if they're relatively close to town, if they're near homes or a city dump site, or where there's a city park where there's garbage, because it's an easy access to food.
Yeah. True.
And so sometimes what I'm finding out, we always talk about remote areas where these creatures are at, but sometimes it's the most unlikely in-town places you would never ever guess that these creatures would harbor or live, and that's where they're at, because just that mindset, you would think nothing would be in town.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
Nothing should be here. This is just a cemetery.
Yeah.
We're in town, for crying out loud. There's homes right here. You know what? That's perfect for these settings, because the most unlikely place is usually where they're at.
True. That's true.
That's what I'm finding out over the years.
It's like, wow, that is... I would have never thought that they're going to be right there, just hanging out, doing it's scary. It's scary.
Well, it is.
That is scary. I wasn't even in the woods. Like, to me, that wasn't even the woods. That was just a cemetery and a little patch of woods, and that was like,
yep,
shocking.
It is very shocking. It's very, and you had this event happen to you. And your friend that you met had, he was retelling a story that happened of a couple at that other cemetery. The question is, how many other dozens and dozens of folks have had a weird event happen and they never told anybody?
I was thinking that, because after that happened, it kind of just opened a can of worms. And I just can't get it out of my head. This whole situation of Bigfoot, it's been like an itch in my like what the hell's going on?
Well, I can tell you a little bit what's happening to it. It's a little bit of an obsession because
yes, exactly. That's what
because
happened to me.
as kids we're told that monsters don't exist. Go back to sleep. There's no monsters in your closet or under your bed. You're fine. Go back to sleep. And I grew up the same way. But when you have an encounter or you have an event that you really can't fully explain, you have all these questions. First, it's fear. It's a massive amount of fear that you've never experienced. Then it leads into a high level of inquisitive, I gotta know more if this stuff is real.
Yes, that's what happened. I need to know more, and
I gotta know more, and how come no one's ever told me about this stuff, that it's really real? I thought this stuff was a bunch of campfire stories, and people made this stuff up. Well, the fact is, these creatures are 100% real. They've been around for ages and ages, who knows how long. I believe that there is a biblical connotation or association that they've been here for a very, very long time. But I'm also willing to say there's a lot more beings and creatures that are out there roaming at night that are not of this planet.
Oh, yeah.
That are extraterrestrial in nature, whether they have been dropped off or they've landed and they're looking around and doing their own research and whatever else.
Yeah.
I know that without giving proof. I want to say for a fact, but our government last year came out for the first time in over 5 decades and said, finally, to the American public, by the way, we do acknowledge finally UFOs do exist. We have footage, we have proof. Well, what they're saying when the U.S. government came out with that information, what they're really saying is that we have evidence that we're not the only people in this universe. There's other beings out there. There's other civilizations out there beyond our Earth. Because those ships, let's say, some of them may fly autonomously by themselves, but someone is controlling them. And or a lot of those ships are being controlled by passengers inside. Where are they from? They're not from Earth. They're from somewhere out in the galaxy. So might they have other types of creatures on their planet that they might have released here? Or other beings?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That's possible. That is...
It kind of blows the mind a little bit.
It blows the mind, yeah, it does. And it kind of keeps you up at night thinking. That's what it's done to me. Like, it just, in your head, you're just going over so many questions.
Oh, it does me all the time. After I do an interview, and I hear a new interview, I'm up for hours. It takes me a while to kind of wind down. Because there's so many questions I have in my mind, and possibility and plausibility and what ifs. And I think about this. I've been doing this 5 years now.
Oof, man.
And I have hundreds of interviews in my head of what ifs and how comes and why and when and
that's got to be very stressful.
Well, it was at first.
Yeah.
I admit it was at first because I knew we had our encounters, which were bizarre and had loads of questions.
Yeah.
But when I started hearing other people's encounters, I almost kind of forgot about ours and started comparing. And then I thought, that's even more strange. So it kind of, my obsession, if you will, my interest has led into trying to help people decipher and cope with what they saw, that these creatures are 100% real, they're not crazy, that, whether you want to look at it as just whether you look at it as the right place, right time, or wrong place, wrong time. Some people say, I'm so lucky to have been there, and then other people go, are you out of your mind? I'm not lucky. I wish I'd never heard what I heard or saw what I saw. And so there's a lot of people that have trauma from what they've seen. Something looking in the window down at them while they're sleeping and they woke up. I've got people that saw these creatures looking in their window when they were kids. And
that is scary.
And that is very terrifying.
That is,
and traumatizing, for a little kid who's told monsters don't exist, hon, just go back to sleep. And they turn the lights out, and this creature steps back in the window and looks at them. And I've had quite a few people where that's happened. And so it is very life-changing for a lot of these people that it really, it's not necessarily, to some people, and it's obsession. To other people, it's a reoccurring nightmare. And they want to have closure, but when you encounter something so terrifying, you can't unsee what you saw. You can't relinquish it from your mind because you want to relive it. So a lot of these people I talk to, I kind of help them cope through it, walk through it a little bit, that they're not crazy. They saw something that there are, I believe, thousands have seen it. But it was very unfortunate that they saw it. It wasn't their fault. And, it is what it is. And, I've had my own encounters, and we can work through it together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, man. I'm glad I didn't see it, because I can still go in the woods, but it's still in my head, that whole encounter. It's like,
yeah, sure it is.
I've done a lot of research, and I've listened to a lot of videos and what do you call it?
Podcasts,
interviews, and podcasts. I'm like,
yeah, they
are everywhere, and it's like,
well, I want to tell you, they're down in Texas.
Oh,
just
man.
as they're down
bad.
There's a lot of, I mean, I can give, there's just about every state has these Bigfoot for sure, except maybe Hawaii. They have this dogman creature, except maybe Hawaii. They might have a different version, I don't know, but I've never had anybody call me from Hawaii with an encounter. But I've had the hot spots, or the hot states that I've had over the years. I've had about every state call me, just about. But I'm going to say the hot spots are Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Kentucky. Those 10, then you get into the Virginias. They are hot spots too, on the coast. But you still have, every state has their own sightings of these creatures and these beings. And so, but those just happen to be some of the most notable numbers of encounters in those states.
That is so crazy. It's scary to think of that.
It is, and it's...
And I travel a lot, and I think about that. It's like, I don't want to think about it, but it put my awareness, like, to, like, the top. I am, like, aware of where I'm at, what time, because I don't drive at night no more. Like, I don't like driving at night, because I don't want to run into anything,
Right.
Because I would sleep at rest stops at night.
Oh.
I don't want to get a hotel. I don't want to spend $100, $200 on a hotel for one night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I could just sleep 5-6 hours right here in the parking lot, whatever, or the rest stop, and just head on right when I wake up. But this it's in your head. It's always in your head. This, like, what if they're around here? You know, what if they're watching me? You know.
Well,
like,
here's the thing.
That's always in my head.
You don't need to. It's easy for me to say you shouldn't be overly concerned about it.
Yeah, true. All right.
Because, I understand it's easy for me to be an armchair cryptid therapist, if you will, right? I mean, it's easy for me to sit back and say, "Oh, just relax," but I don't mean anything by it, and I know better. I know better not to say that, because when the bug bites you,
That's what
it's really hard to get out of your mind. Now, had you seen something, it might be even more so a lot different in your thinking. Where it's even worse, in the sense that you're either very overly anxious and worried in many aspects, and a lot of these people, they're still trying to deal with these encounters years and years later, and they don't, and it spills over into their work, into relationships, and they're not even aware of that. That's how much of a psychological impact and trauma that these events and encounters can happen, especially if they had a close encounter. And
You're right.
But these people don't have really a safe haven, really where to go, and that's why.
Yeah, there's not really people you can talk to about this. Like,
no.
Or, hey, you know what's in the woods? Or, hey, you need to watch out for this, because.
Because if you call if you get to logic, if you call a police officer, there was no crime committed. There was, you didn't have anything stolen and you weren't hurt. So who do you tell? They're going to look at you like, you're on something, boy, and so they're going to look at you that way. And then you really, if you've talked to someone and they've not had their own experiences, they're going to go, right.
That's exactly what I get. Like, okay, like, all right. They'll give you that weird look. And then you're like, okay, I need to shut up.
And so, when someone has an experience like this, they want to be heard, but at the same time, they want to be believed.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Because if you're not believed, you get a little pissed. Because they think that you're making something up. When you're as serious as a heart attack, you're trying to say, no. I felt it. I heard it. And my buddy also heard and felt it too. So it really helps that you did have someone there to corroborate the story and the event. Like, I felt the same thing.
Yeah.
And he was just as frightened. So that really adds to the credibility that you weren't hypnotized or anything like that. You heard what you heard and you felt what you felt. So, but I will say it does sound, in general, like it does sound like some type of a cryptid was there, but definitively, was it a Bigfoot? We don't know. Could it have been another type of creature? Very possible. And when there's one, we know, and there's a high probability that there's more. So, and again, they don't need a large area of land to harbor and live in.
And I believe it's a Bigfoot because I felt like I've been doing a lot of research. So it's like all of the signs are there. And then when I talked to that kid, it kind of even made more like, okay, I think it is a Bigfoot. And I've been looking online, like for anybody else who's witnessed anything there,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't really found anything at all. No reports or anything. But I did find this channel on YouTube. I guess it was like a ghost hunting channel.
Okay.
And they were there because when this happened in 2019.
Okay.
This all happened in 2019, and not too long ago, I was looking online to see if anybody else has gone there and like seen anything, and nobody said anything online. I haven't seen anything online about it, and I did find this ghost hunting group. It's a little ghost hunting group. I forgot the name of it, but they were there, and they're ghost hunting. But they also mentioned Bigfoot, that they had encountered Bigfoots there, and I was like, "Oh, so I'm not the only one."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh," I'm not the only one. Okay, so that kind of got me like all worked up a little bit, and so I said something on their comment, and I told them that I had an encounter there. I'm pretty sure it was a Bigfoot, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And so I started talking to them, and they gave me a call. They called me, and I talked to them, and I talked to one of the guys, and he goes, "Yeah, we have some reports of Bigfoot being around here," and he said he's had encounters of Bigfoot there, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And so he also said he was trying to look, he was hoping that he didn't run into Dogman, and I was like, well, "Okay." I've done my research on Dogman. That's even way scarier. I don't not want to mess with that. But he said he had a bunch of activity there with ghosts and Bigfoot. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not the only one that's had encounters of something with something there. So that kind of, a little bit of confirmation that they're around there.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well,
I've always wanted to go back because, it's like, okay, then maybe, but then I was talking to him, and I think he went he went not that long ago, and he told me that you can't go back there anymore. I was like, what? Yeah, you can't go anymore. You can't, they blocked it off. You have to have permission now to go to the cemetery. And I was like,
have
what?
to have what?
You have to have permission to go to the cemetery now.
Through who?
I guess the city, because I asked him. He said that they had to get permission from the city. Well, they went because it was open. Anybody can go anytime, whatever. And he said that they were there and they did their own little ghost thing and whatever, and they had encounters with Bigfoot and ghosts. And then they tried to go again. I think the next year, but they said that they couldn't go because it was locked up, and that they said that they needed permission from the city to go to the cemetery now because too many people were going there, and I guess vandalizing the cemetery.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I guess. And then, which I think so, maybe kind of, because I guess, like I said, when I went there, there were kids hanging out there, like drinking and just running around, messing around.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, maybe that's probably it, or maybe it could be another reason, but who knows? But you need permission to go there now. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, this gets into a whole nother topic that we probably won't have a lot of time for, but if you listen to enough of my shows,
I've heard a lot of
some of the older shows, I talk about the men in black, the government agents that are very well aware of these creatures. And what they try to do when people have an encounter, they tend to shut areas down in parks and they lock them up.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that's what happened, because it very well could have been where the city did take charge and closed it down because of vandalism, especially if they're knocking, being disrespectful and knocking tombstones over, which may have happened. But other times, there are times where parks that are not heavily visited, and if there's these creatures, these beings around, there's this government agency will shut these parks down and fence it off where you can't get in anymore.
Okay.
And so you just be mindful of those things as well. And I've got quite a few shows that talk about that.
Okay. I think I heard some of them.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I'm still working on moving some of the old shows and making them, redoing the intros on a lot of them.
Okay. Yeah. I listen to a lot of shows but it's so hard to listen to all of them there's so many of it, there's so many content that's just,
it's overwhelming.
It is. It's kind of hard to keep up with everybody. And, but most of the encounters are consistent, with the activity and stuff. So it's like, okay, so I was like, okay, I heard it from here. I heard this and I heard this one. They're pretty similar, and you can you can connect the dots pretty easy. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's familiar.
And there's a lot of, and here's the thing. In cemeteries, there's a spiritual aspect of, where you can have a spirit that has a very strong energy about them that can cause things to move. And they can create sounds, they can move things, and so, that's just another thing to...
That's one thing I don't like about cemeteries. That's why I didn't want to go either, because you could pick up a hitchhiker, like a spirit that follow you home.
Well, what you do is, I've been to a few of them, and then what you do is you say blessings over you and your friends.
Okay, there you go.
And
now I know that.
You do that every time. And you say, before you leave, you say, I am now going, and you just speak loud. You just say, I rebuke anything, any spirits, whether they be evil in nature or good in nature. I command that you stay here in the name of the Lord, and that nothing is to attach to none of my friends or myself or our vehicles or any objects that we're associated with. Okay. You are to remain here. I wish you peace and rest in Jesus' name. Amen. And then you won't have that happen.
Okay. All right. Now I remember that.
And then you just... you have that, you say that prayer, and there won't be anything attached to you. I know there won't be. And that's what I do. And so, and so I've been to a few of them. And I've actually had responses. I get intelligent responses.
Uh-huh.
I've recorded them, and I ask a question and I get an answer. I go back and listen to all my recordings, and I get an answer, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
yeah, I won't mess with ghosts though. I won't mess with anything like that though. I think you should just leave things the way they are.
Yeah. Well, you do have to be mindful and careful. That it's definitely not for everyone. I admit. You do have to be careful, because you're not always going to talk to something possibly that's friendly.
Yep, that's true.
And I think Christ said it best, leave the dead unto the dead.
Yep, exactly.
So you do have to be mindful of that. And I got to a point where I was getting responses even when I wasn't at a cemetery.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, I was recording podcast shows, and I'd go back and listen, and I heard voices on there.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, so So I prayed blessings over my house, and
Oh,
all is fine. All is fine. But I'm going to say back to what you were talking about is that I would definitely, if you go to those places like that,
uh-huh.
I'm telling you right now, regardless of what people think, if you, anything that you see that's
Yeah,
scary, or whether it's in the physical form or spiritual in nature that you can't see,
yeah,
nothing can withstand the name of Jesus. It really can't, whether a
yeah.
person is a believer or not. But it's best if you're a believer. It
Oh,
really
yes.
is,
I believe that.
because
Yes.
uh, even in Acts, I think it's chapter 6, when the vagabond was trying to go against Satan in there, and even Satan knew. He says, and the Satan, this Satan said, he said, "I know who Jesus is, and I know who Paul is, but who are you?"
Yeah.
Because the guy was trying to rebuke, oh, in Jesus' name, but he wasn't a true believer. So what
Uh,
happened is that Satan more or less kicked his butt, and the guy was bruised and battered because he used Jesus' name, but he wasn't a true believer. Because Satan said, I know Jesus and I know Paul, the disciple, but who
yeah.
are you? I don't know you. Therefore, he knew his heart. His heart wasn't with
Yeah.
Jesus. So that's the key. You can use Jesus' name, but it makes it even more profound, and will be with you when you are a believer. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, is that if you say a prayer somewhere along those lines and you're a believer, you don't have anything to worry about.
Okay.
That's
No, that's
how
good.
I can do what I do.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to
Yeah.
know.
That's
Well,
good advice.
so what else happened that night that you were there? Anything else transpire or go on?
Well, the other thing that happened, well, he told me that, and he told me his stories, and that was interesting. And uh, they all left, and we were left by ourselves. And then that's when it got scary. When the group of kids left and he left. So it was just me, my friend, his girlfriend, the two nieces and boyfriend. And again, me and my friend just stayed in the car. This was like 3 a.m. We're out there. We're still out there. I guess they're still out there looking for something, but nothing really happened. So they're just still walking around, and I was like, "Damn, I'm getting tired of this. We need to leave already." Um, but I talked to my friend's girlfriend not too long ago, and I asked her, like, "Hey, is anything that night? Did anything happen to you?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "What?" She goes, "Something threw a rock at us." I go, "Really?" I goes, "Yeah." Like, really? He said, "Yeah, someone threw a rock at us."
Really?
And, and then they said they started throwing rocks back at it. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. It freaked us out. And then we just took off. And I was like, oh my God, that was crazy. I didn't know that. And I was like, wow. I
yeah,
did not
that's the
know
wrong thing to do, but
that.
yeah.
that is crazy.
So did it hit them, or did it land at their feet?
They said that it landed in front of them. And it was because it came from they were just like, I guess they were just looking around, and they were right next to the wood line. And she said that a rock came right at them, and they're just freaked. They're like, "What the hell was that?" You know? And they said they sound like a rock that hit the ground, and they're just kind of puzzled, like, you know. So they all got rocks and started throwing them back, and I was like, "Okay, that don't sound good."
Yeah,
You know?
it's not good.
I don't think anything happened after that. They just got freaked out. They walked away, like they came back to the car. And I'm like, okay, that is pretty creepy. That happened, and I after that was it. You know, we took off because it was very late, and I was so happy leaving. I was like, oh, okay, that's so good. But nothing really happened to me. You know, I was worried something bad was gonna happen, but that was it for that. And like I said, after that happened, that kind of opened my my whole. Well, I felt like I said, you said, I got bit. And then it's kind of just like you think about it, and it's like, man, what was that? It kind of opened like a can of worms after that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know? Because then you start thinking, you know, like, wow. I started going through the whole, you know, watching videos and all that, learning about stuff that happens around people, listening to other people's stories and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is way more. I thought this is way bigger than I thought.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty much everywhere. And at the time, I was working around Texas City, and I was working around there, and I would have time off, and I was staying in Galveston, and I would have a lot of time off because it got real slow, and I would go play disc golf, and in this little park, and it was like pretty wooded. It's a good park. I would play disc golf sometimes. I would go, and sometimes my brother would come visit me, and I would take them. I was like, hey, let's go play disc golf. Like, all right. So I went to this park, and it was kind of out there. It was kind of a little bit of drive, and it's a good sized park, pretty wooded, and it's kind of like, and there's houses all around it. You know, the whole park. There's houses around the whole park.
Right.
But it's like I say, it's a pretty good sized park. It's wooded, and I would take him to go play disc golf, and sometimes we'll go play. But it gave me a little weird vibe, you know.
Sure.
And I didn't really care. Like, okay, it's a weird little vibe, but it just, you know, it's whatever. And didn't pay too much attention to it. All right, and then I after like another time I went to go play, but then I wasn't really playing because the two guys I went with were really good. So I was like, guys, I'm not gonna play this one because I was gonna be the guy that's like held it back, you know. So I was like, I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna record you guys. Let me record and take pictures. So, you know, because I had like a new phone, and I was like, okay, you know, I like taking pictures and recording. So, you know, like, I'll take pictures of you guys can play, and I'll just follow you. And so I was doing that around the park, and it kind of hit me because I started seeing little signs of tree breaks, and, you know, I was like, I wonder if they're here, you know? In my head, I'm like, maybe they're, I don't know, maybe? Because I would see tree breaks, and they're high up. And I was like, no, come on, they can't be around here, you know? You know, there's houses around the whole park. Not a lot.
It doesn't matter, though. Yeah.
There's quite a bit of houses around.
Yeah.
How could they get in this park? You know?
Well, is my brother Lane? Is my brother?
Again, like I said, I listened to some, and they're like, they could be there, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't really like. Okay, maybe I saw tree breaks with that. It could be anything, really. Maybe not. It kind of like started, you know, working in my head. Something's going on. Maybe not. And I kind of didn't really think too much about it after that. After thinking about that, I was like, no way. So I let it be. I was like, okay, fine. Whatever. Maybe I don't think they're in there. And it's so weird. I was working at this shop, whatever, and I had some friends that lived around there, and because there's Texas City, and there's a guy living in that worked with me, and he mentioned something about a monkey loose around the neighborhood. And I kind of like, what? No. He goes, yeah, there's a monkey loose. And it was all over the news. And I was like, wow, that's weird.
A monkey loose?
Yes, there's a monkey loose around the neighborhood. And it's right next to that park, like close to the park.
Oh.
And I think that park's in, to be honest. Yeah. But there's a monkey loose around the neighborhood. And I was like, huh. Okay. And so I was like, in my head, the puzzles were starting to click in there. The puzzle was starting to fit. And I was like, maybe they're around here. So I looked online, and I was like, okay, let me look up the news channel around here. Let me see the news channel. Let me see what they say. Let me see what's going on. I looked up the news channel, and yes, something about a report about a monkey loose around the neighborhood. So I was like, okay. And then I found a YouTube video of the report. And so I watched the YouTube video, and they're talking about, yes, there's a monkey loose around the neighborhood that the police were trying to find. And I'm like, okay, it's possible. Maybe there's a monkey loose. Maybe there's something. They're going to come up with something. All right. And then what kind of got me when they interviewed this lady on the news. They interviewed this lady. This was a Mexican lady.
Okay.
And what kind of got me was when they were talking to her, she said that she was in her house, and the thing that also kind of got me, it was raining. There was a thunderstorm going on.
Oh.
So it was stormy. And there was a storm going on. And she was in her house, and she looked out her window, and there was this monkey looking through some stuff. I guess, I don't know, her trash can or whatever, but looking through things. Her things, or I don't know what, trash can or whatever, but she said that the monkey was the size of a man. And it kind of clicked in my head. Like, I think they're around here. That kind of just like, yeah, maybe they are here.
Yeah. They don't.
No?
It doesn't take much land, like I said, and especially
it doesn't take much land.
And see, most people will relate to what they know. So
yes.
She may have seen a Bigfoot, adolescent, smaller, that she just goes, well, that's a monkey. It's on the loose. Her mind is thinking logic, zoo, circus, monkey.
Yes, exactly. So when they interviewed her, and when she said that, she looked out her window, and that she said she was scared. She goes, I was scared. She said she was scared when she saw it because it was the size of a man.
Well, and there you go.
I was like, okay, size of a man. There's a storm going on. Perfect cover for a monkey or whatever, Bigfoot, to go look around, trash and whatever, And I was like, this feels like it's all connecting.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me going. That kept on bothering me for a long time because I was like, what if they are in Hitchcock? And I think they are around there. Well, I don't know, but maybe they are. But like you said, they can be anywhere, and they can be in little areas like that. And in that little Hitchcock, in that town, it's not that big, and you can drive a little bit out. You can drive like a mile out, and it's all farmland. It's all like, scattered houses. So, because I've driven, because after I heard all that, and I was like, man, I'm interested. Let me go drive over there. So I drove over there, and another sign that I think that Bigfoot are around. I saw a bunch of posts, missing pet.
Oh, yeah.
On I saw a bunch of posts. Oh, sorry. On those light posts, I saw a bunch of posters of pets going missing.
Yeah.
And dude, there's a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of signs that they are around, and I've always had that. I've always had that in my head. Like, okay, I feel like there's something going on here, but nothing. I don't hear too much about that. I've tried looking online. I don't hear anything. You don't hear anybody talking about it, and I don't know if you've heard anything, but that's something I was really, that was going through my head. I had a bunch of questions about, like, what the hell's going on here?
Sure.
Are they, like you said, they can be around a neighborhood and move around like that little part of wood, that little piece of wood. It can be there, because there's a lot of parties that go on. Because whenever I would go there, there were a lot of people having birthday parties or just walking around.
Right.
perfect place to go get scavenge for food and stuff. You know,
Absolutely. And again,
like
the least likely places you would think
yes,
are
yes,
where they would harbor, because everybody else is going to say, "Oh, those creatures don't exist," and if they do, they would never be here.
you see, yep, you're right.
Well,
That's right.
I tell you, that's a really fascinating encounter story, because you've got other stories of people kind of corroborating what you kind of encountered.
Yeah, and I can send you that YouTube video of the lady talking about whatever she witnessed. Like I said, it's on YouTube. The video of the girl or the Hispanic lady. When she's saying, that she saw it. So I don't know if you want to see that, but
Yeah, you can send it right after we, if you don't mind, just text it to me.
yeah, I'll text it to you.
Text me the link, and well, it's the best way. Well, you could encounter any one of these creatures at any time, but the more often you get out into these areas, the more likelihood your opportunity might exist to have an encounter. I don't recommend it.
You're right, and that's why I tell you, like I travel a lot, and I just came back from Michigan not too long ago.
Oh, that's a hot.
And I was hoping I was praying I didn't see. I hope I didn't see anything, because I was driving the back roads.
Oh yeah.
It's scary, and there's oh my God, the deers are they're everywhere. And I've almost hit so many deers when I was driving around there, and where I was working, you had to take the back roads to get to the job site, so that kind of freaked me out, and that, like I said, I feel like I don't know, but like I said, I travel a lot and I drive around a lot, so I'm hoping I don't see anything, but I'm not gonna say. I feel like I'm more prepared now to just, if there is something that comes up, I hope I can keep myself together in case I do see something.
Well, it's better to know that something exists rather than not know.
Exactly. Yep.
And now that you know that they do exist, you can have somewhat of a mental game plan to say, okay, I can't plan on every scenario when I see this, what I'll be doing and what it will be doing. But I know that I'm not going to pick a fight. I don't want to shoot at anything first.
Yeah, exactly.
And that I know I've got the power of Jesus' name behind me, and nothing can stand before us with that knowledge. So so that gives you confidence, but you just, it is what it is. You want to enjoy the outdoors, but you don't want to be paralyzed either.
There you go. Okay, exactly, yep.
And that's kind of what we do. I still do what I want to do, but if I come in contact, I'm not going to pick a fight unless I feel that the situation is that I can't get out of it.
Yeah.
If I feel that my safety point, it's between my safety point and me getting to my truck or wherever, and I'm looking at its body posture and its ears are back, or it's getting kind of froggy on me, like it's getting ready to come toward me, I'm not going to waste time.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to unload whatever I've got, and I'm digging in. I'm not running. You dig in and you do what you can to survive the situation. And the rarity that something bad will happen is very, very remote.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Know that too, right?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
And so they know that they can be hurt and harmed by us. So just, if you're ever out in the woods, take some means of protection.
Oh yeah, okay.
And you know what I mean. you know what I mean there, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you do that, then you just can't go wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, but before I let you go, because I gotta go to start getting late.
Yeah.
This is something I want to also gotta tell you. Because I was in Michigan and I have family in Michigan.
Yeah.
That's why I was also working at the same time. But I was staying with my aunt at that time. So I was staying there, and then I put on I was watching some Bigfoot documentary, I guess, on her TV, and she's like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Oh, something about Bigfoot, whatever, you know." And I kind of, you know, I don't know, she kind of like, I don't know if she believes whatever crap, and so I was just like, you know, I was just watching Bigfoot, you know, and then I told her. I got kind of like over like, yeah, I believe in it. And, you know, I had some weird encounter with something. It's like, oh yeah, I goes, yeah, I think they're real and all that. And then she told me the story about her, which it freaked me out because maybe there's so much there might be a lot of people with stories and we have no idea.
Well,
like
I believe that
story.
Yeah, so for every story, and this is just my Lance's take on this. For every encounter I have people call me, there's probably 100 I'll never hear because they just kind of keep it close to them, or they only tell people in certain circles.
Yeah, or maybe they don't know what they encountered, and so they kind of just like, you know.
Yeah,
like you know, they don't know anything about Bigfoot, Dogman, or whatever creatures out there, and they just put it off as something else, and they kind of just put it aside, don't think about it.
Yeah, and
I think that's what she did, because she told me this story where I kind of just like perked up, and I was like, oh, what happened to you? She goes, well, she said that because she said she was living in Ohio, or I think she was living in Michigan, Ohio, but she said that her parents, this was back in the day, she said that her parents they got some money, and she forgets how their dad got money or her mom got money, and they moved down to Texas. And I don't know what part of Texas, but she said they moved down to Texas, and they were staying in this little house, whatever. And I didn't really push the story on her. I didn't really push any questions on her. She just told me the story. So she said that she moved down here to Texas, and they were staying at some little house, whatever. And she said that it was her two sisters, and her little brother staying at the house. And she said that her dad, and I don't know if the dad and his friend, they took off to the store somewhere, I don't know, they just took off. And they left them there by themselves in the house. And she said that they heard growling outside the house that scared the hell out of them. Loud growling. And they said that she said that it came up to the door, banging on the door, scratching or banging on it, and it scared them like to death. It just scared them, and they were crying and screaming and crying. And I think she said that her sister started praying, started praying for this thing to go away, and eventually it went away. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if the dad came back or whatever, but that's kind of most of the story that I remember. And
wow,
that was like,
that's terrifying.
That's terrifying. I didn't really push. I didn't ask her a lot of questions because I don't know if it traumatized her at all. You know,
I'm sure it did to a certain degree, especially if it's as a child.
Yeah, because I kind of want to ask her again. Because I want her to tell me the story again, and I kind of want to get more details. And if I can, maybe I can tell you what happened.
Sure.
And I want to see if I could do that, but I don't want to really. It's kind of hard to bring that up. You know, I'm like, hey, you remember that time you got attacked when you're smaller?
What you do is you bring up the most obvious, and this is your aunt.
This is my aunt. Yeah.
You say, I seriously want to talk about something, but I mean, I want to give you respect, but I'm really, really fascinated to hear if you will allow me to hear it. And I know it might be a little uncomfortable, but I really want to hear what happened if you don't mind telling me. So you come from a standpoint that you care, that
Okay.
you understand this is just not a campfire story, that you
Yeah.
believe her, but that it might be difficult. But I want to know. I seriously want to know what happened.
Okay. I'll do that because I'm about to go back and visit again, and I want to ask her and try to get more details and ask her what happened and stuff.
Yeah, because remember, people will share more readily if they feel you truly believe them and if you care about the incident that happened to them.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll try to talk to her about that and see if I can get her to talk to me about that. If not, I'll see if I can get her to talk to you. That would be interesting.
Yeah, either way,
I'll try.
that would be something. I mean, I can promise you she hasn't forgot it if it happened as a kid.
You're right. She told me that, and I was like, wow, what the heck? That's crazy. I had no idea.
Absolutely. Wow. Well,
also,
go ahead.
There's something to say real quick. The word Hank, I hear a lot of people talk about Hank.
About what?
They call the Hanks, like Bigfoot. Like I heard that in the South, some people call the Bigfoots Hanks.
That could be a slang term. I've not really heard that too much. Here in the South, they call them boogers, or wood boogers, or wood apes. You hear all kinds of terms. You hear wild men. I mean, and if they steal, there's all kinds of
terms names for them.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
because I've heard them called Hanks.
Well, that could be another term.
Okay, that's interesting because I was listening to this other podcast, and it was about they were talking about Romania, and in Romania they call giants Hanks. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's funny because I heard that called over here. They call Bigfoots here Hanks sometimes.
Okay.
I was like, whoa, that's a good piece of puzzle. I found out, and I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I can send you a video about that. That was very interesting too.
Yes, please do. Please do.
But I'll let you go because it is really late, and I got to go to bed. I got to wake up early. I'm pretty sure you got to too.
Well, I really appreciate chatting with you, Eli, and for sharing something personal. And I'm sorry you went through that because you didn't see anything. But sometimes you don't need to see anything to know something's not right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
It can have a lifelong impact as it has on you already. So if anything comes up, you can always call me night or day. And you've got my number now. And if your aunt wants to share any time, the toll-free number, you know what it is now. And I just thank you so much for sharing with me.
No, man, thank you for listening, because there's not a lot of people out there will listen to your story or just take the time and just listen to you.
That's true too. And
some people don't do that. And then a lot of people just want to, tell their story and just have someone listen to them instead of just like, oh, okay, whatever,
Right. Well, I tell you what, the one thing that after this experience and, every experience that you have, you realize the world is a much bigger, mysterious place than what you thought.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's what that's what I have come to realize is that we don't know it all. There's a lot more out there than what you think, and there's a lot out there. People would be, as my brother Lane would say, If people only knew what is going bump in the night around their neighborhood, they wouldn't even go outside.
Exactly. He's right. He's right.
He is right. I do believe
right.
that 1,000%.
I believe that. I believe that.
Well, you have a great night. It was a pleasure in talking with you. And if you ever want to call again or chat or anything, just give me a buzz.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You have a great night.
You too, brother.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.